So today we're gonna be creating a logo break. I actually used that technique in one of my reels. In case if you haven't found me through my Instagram account, my name is Bart, I'm a video editor, I have been editing for a while, and I've grown an Instagram account to over 50k followers. I also recently opened up my store, The Editing Shift, and there you will find plenty of video editing assets for After Effects, and not only. I'm currently running a promotion with 30% off on every single product. Just type in late at the checkout and you will get the discount. There's only 2 days left of the promotion, so head over to the description of the video. Enough of the promotion, we're gonna get straight into After Effects. So let's create a new composition. Here you have all the settings. I'm gonna rename it to a break. And for starters, we're gonna grab the logo. I just downloaded it from the internet. We need to resize it. All right, perfect. We would need to use the shatter effect, but the thing is that I don't want to break the logo right in the beginning. I'd rather break it somewhere here. And once you apply the shatter effect, it's always gonna start from the very beginning. So what we need to do here is pre-compose that layer. Make sure to select the circle. We're gonna hit OK. Let's say we want to break that logo somewhere from this position. So we need to cut this layer here. So I'm gonna hit Ctrl-Shift-D and we need to pre-compose that layer again, just to make sure that the beginning is right here. So now After Effects is gonna read the shatter from here instead of here. So since we got this layer pre-composed, we can add the effect. So let's add shatter. And now the first thing we're gonna do is go to View and change it to Rendered. Now I'm gonna open up some of the properties like Shape, First One, and Physics. And the most important thing here, we're gonna change the pattern. We're gonna switch it to glass. That doesn't really look that good, so we need to fix some settings. I'm gonna start off with the repetitions. I just want to have more of them. So I think we're gonna go with like maybe 14. Then when it comes to the extrusion depth, which is like the thickness of these parts, I'm just gonna bump it up a little. Then we got a pretty abrupt explosion, so we're gonna go to strength and lower it down to like 2.5. Yeah, that's much more subtle. Then the rotation speed, I don't really like it, so we're gonna turn it down to 0.06. And then the thing that will make the most difference is the viscosity. I don't know if you pronounce it like that, but anyway, let's bump it up. So as you can notice, the parts are kind of staying in the middle right now. So if we went all the way to 1, it would look like that, which is already a pretty cool effect. But I think we're gonna go with like 0.5 maybe. Okay, I just changed my mind, 0.85. And one more thing would be the gravity. I want to turn it down to 0, so the parts are not going down. Then we're gonna create another pre-composition. I'm gonna call it main comp. Let's hit enter. I'm gonna drop my video, scale it down, and now we're gonna grab a break pre-comp and put it on the timeline. And now what I want to do with this is add a little bit of movement, and we're also gonna play around with the camera. So first I'm gonna right click, go to new, camera. Let's pick the preset of 35mm, hit OK, OK again, drop it down, add the new null object. We're gonna parent the camera to the null, let's rename it. We're gonna turn on the 3D layer on everything, then open up the second view, and here we're gonna create a separation between my video and the logo. So I'm gonna select the video, hit P, then with the Z position, move it away, and I'm gonna hold Shift, click S, and bump up the scale. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is scale down the logo, and I would like to create a movement for this. So we're gonna hit P, hit the stopwatch, move it forward, and then drag the logo downwards. I'm gonna select both keyframes, hit F9, move to the graph editor, click this so we can see the graph, and we're gonna create a peak on the left. Okay, that's a bit too slow, so we're just gonna squeeze in the keyframes. Okay, I really start to like it, but the problem is that the break is happening a little bit too early, so we can head over to the pre-comp, and here we can manage where we want the break to happen. So I'm just gonna move it forward, somewhere here, and then extend that bottom layer. I went overboard, we're gonna adjust it. That's pretty good, I'm just gonna extend that keyframe. And for starters, we're gonna create a very shallow movement going forward. So I'm just gonna create a keyframe for position in our null object. Then move forward, somewhere here maybe, and adjust Z position just tiny bit. Okay, I'm not even gonna apply any graphs to this, it's just a little movement. Then I'm gonna duplicate that layer, hit U on the keyboard, delete the last keyframe, and parent 1 to 2. And that way we got already the second camera control, which will allow us to create the second movement. So now with Z position, I'm just gonna bump it up so we are getting closer to the logo. It's already looking so cool when I'm moving back and forth. I'm just gonna adjust the null object. Let's select these keyframes. I'm gonna hit F9, and right now we're gonna create a very rapid movement towards the logo right when the break is happening. So I'm just gonna select these 2 keyframes, move over to the graph editor, click this, and then we're gonna make a very sharp peak on the left. Okay, something like that. So that's how it's looking. I feel like it needs to be squeezed in even more. Okay, so when break is happening. All right, that's pretty cool. We're also gonna play around with the rotation for the AE break. So I'm gonna hold shift, click R, and with 0 rotation we're gonna set keyframes. I'm gonna drag that keyframe forward and then just rotate it to a negative degree, like -90 or something like that. Now I'm gonna select these 2 keyframes and apply the same graph as before. It looks much better when the logo is rotating. I really want to have that rapid zoom in even sharper. So we're just gonna squeeze in the keyframes even more. Let's go to the graph editor. Yeah, everything's perfect here. Okay, seems good to me. Now I'm gonna extend that keyframe here and I'm gonna scale down the logo a little bit. Head over to our video. I'm gonna set a keyframe for opacity and drop it down after a few frames. Little adjustment. And now I'm gonna use Deep Glow for the logo. And by the way, it's not a paid promotion, it's basically a very nice plugin. But in case if you don't have it, you can just use Glow. So I'm just gonna type in Deep Glow. It's already looking pretty sick. So now we're gonna keyframe exposure and radius. Hit U on the keyboard, and I want the exposure to go from 0, and then we're gonna bump it up to 1 and increase the radius as well to like 1500. It's starting to look pretty good, but what I want to do here is drop down that glow effect. So we're just gonna change the exposure to, let's say, 0.5, and now we're gonna select these keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph editor, and you know what? Actually, we're gonna adjust the keyframes for exposure. So I want the exposure to peak somewhere here, so we're just gonna select that point, drag the yellow dot to the right, and then do the same with this. Let's extend that, and that way we're gonna have a climax somewhere here, and then it's gonna slowly drop down. Okay, I feel like we could adjust it. So basically you should have such a shape. We could do pretty much the same for the radius. We're just gonna select this here, extend that, and that will be the graph. I'm just thinking maybe we should go crazier with the exposure. I'm gonna bump it up to 2 right in the middle, and I feel like it needs to fade out a little bit slower, so we're gonna extend that keyframe. Now we need to add motion blur. So I'm just gonna add it for AE break and the video. Yeah, it looks much better with the motion blur. Now I'm gonna grab the shake from Motion Essence pack, full HD, vertical shake. Just gonna copy that layer, go back, paste it here. And now it's gonna be wiggly. We could actually adjust the keyframes. I'm gonna squeeze them in here for a rapid movement, and here it should be fine. I feel like we could scale down the logo to, let's say, 75. All right, it seems pretty good, but I would like to make one adjustment. Go back to the AE break, AE comp 1, and here we're just gonna adjust the scatter. I feel like we should actually add a little bit of gravity here, and then also turn down the viscosity to 0.5. Let's see now. All right, it already looks pretty good. And now somewhere here, I would like to get back to the video. So I'm just gonna go to the project panel, and I'm gonna grab the video. Let's change it to 50, align it with the beginning here, and maybe this is a perfect position for this. Let's see. Alright, it looks pretty good. We just need to grab one of the transitions from Pro Edit pack, which is also 30% off on the editing shift. So I'm just gonna put it right here. Make sure that the brightest part is on top of the transition. Now I'm gonna go to the modes and change it to screen. Alright, it seems perfect to me. Now I'm gonna just duplicate that shake, put it above the video, drag it somewhere here. I'm just gonna adjust the keyframes. And let's see, we could adjust the layer and it should be perfect. Alright, that's pretty much it for this video. I feel like for the time we spent, it's looking pretty good. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next tutorials. Cheers, guys.